Video journal entry 25 June 22nd, 2025. Oh, that's kind of a cool date or a cool number, 25 June 22nd, 2025. Wow, so we're almost at the halfway point of the year. Next week is that halfway point. Ooh, where is the year going? I swear time moves faster as you get older. I feel like it's because you have more years behind you and like recollection of memory. I feel like I've mentioned that before, but man, it's moving fast. Ugh. One more week, one week, so 8 days until my break. Oh, I'm excited, and I'm kind of already sad because I feel like it's gonna blow past fast. My month-long break, but alas, I'm excited for it to finally get here. It feels like it's been like forever in the making. Isn't that crazy? So like I would have been done with my break coming next week. So if I would have took the break when I had planned to, like in June, I guess next week would have been my last, or this coming week would have been my last week of that break. But feels long, feels short. I braided my hair this week. I feel like this might be like one of my new go-to little styles because I feel like I can wear it out and I can also like put a wig over it if I need to, if it gets like super messy. And it seems like really versatile. I'm very excited. I wanted to add beads to it, but like I don't know if I want those beads in my face all the time. And like since my hair is still relatively short, it like will be on my face. So I'm debating. I feel like maybe I'll add beads here and there. I got these really cute beads. I can't wait to put them on when I do put them on. But man, this week has been, I think, a continuation of last week of really thinking about like what I want for my life and like how it'll look like in the more near future. I'm thinking about it a lot, and like I said it last week, but like having to think about like getting a dog and like how that fits into my life has really made me think really in depth on like a granular level of like what my life looks like, what it looks like now, what I want it to look like in the future, to see like how a dog will like integrate with that lifestyle. And it's just so weird to me. Like I was so ready for it. That's why it's making me also wonder, like it's making me wonder, am I really hesitating about the fact about getting a dog because I'm hesitating and because I have these other, I don't know how to explain it, like it's like an anxious type of hesitation, or I'm like, am I hesitating because I really need to be hesitating? I don't know. It's like it's kind of weird because like I was literally, that was one of the reasons why I like even like was driven to buy the house, because I knew I wanted to get a dog. I feel like my lifestyle entailed it, and I feel like it does. My lifestyle is pretty good for a dog now, but I think maybe I'm thinking about like too much of like the what ifs and like the future, which like if you have problem anxiety, you already know that you're future oriented, and being in the future will make you prone to anxiety, etc. But like I'm wondering, like I keep thinking about like the what ifs and like the not being able to do things in the future, but I'm like, damn, I'm not doing it now. So like am I you know, it makes me wonder, like, am I grieving something that like I haven't done and I really want to do? Will I do those things? Like my main, I think one of my main drawbacks is like the loss of spontaneity and cutting back on travel. And it's like I feel like I grieve part of me that wanted to be like the super adventurous like young adult that traveled a lot. And I feel like in my earlier 20s I was really suited for that, but I feel like now I still have this yearning for that, but at the same time I don't even think I'm like accustomed for that type of life now. Like I think I learned in my my Korea, Hong Kong, Beijing stint, that I get tired of like too much rapid paced travel for too long. Like eventually I will get tired of moving too much, but I realized that like I like slower travel, so I still enjoy that travel, but like slower paced travel. So not like I don't travel at all, and like it's not like I won't be traveling anymore in the future. So it makes me worried about what that would look like with a dog. And I've mentioned before, I'm like very much to myself. Like I spend a lot of time to myself. So I think it's like hard for me to like integrate something else, like another being in general. Like when I had Larry, I miss Larry, man. I often think about him and I think like, man, meant to that have like kept him. I miss him when I think about him, but like something that was like happening was like, sometimes it's hard for me to think because like I said, I'm spending a lot of time to myself. So like having another being around me kind of made it hard for me to think. But I also wonder too if like what it would have been like if I had Larry at like a more even tempo, because I was watching Larry literally when I was getting acclimated into like covering for the person's role that I was covering for before. And like I mentioned before, that person kind of abruptly went on leave. So like I didn't have any training, and I was like in the thick of like a bunch of things just coming at me. I feel like I was already kind of in like a fight or flight mode. But I wonder if I would have been, I enjoy my time. I love my time with Larry. But I also wonder if I would have been like even more enjoyable if I wasn't in that like fight or flight mode, you know? So that makes me like, I'm basing my experience off Larry to like indicate like what my future will look like, even though puppies and dogs are going to be very different. But like, I'm kind of thinking about that experience as like kind of data in my mind of how that went. But like, I'm thinking about it a lot. And it's like crazy because like I was so ready for it. But now I'm like kind of hesitating. But like I said, it's making me think about my life on like a real granular level. And as I'm like thinking about this, I'm like writing it down. So like in my I've like literally worked on it in my Procreate, so like I have little sheets and I'm like asking questions. Like I do my pros and cons list, and then I'm like working through the cons to see like why, like what does this thing. So like as I'm like doing pros and cons, I'm like it'll help me, like having a dog will help me practice more responsibility as a pro, as a con, as like of spontaneity. So like I'm taking my cons and I'm going into another sheet and I'm writing the cons down, and I'm thinking to myself like, okay, why is this thing important to you? Like why is travel important to you? Like what does this look like? How do you think a dog will take away from it? And then I'm also asking like other questions of like, okay, what are some solutions? I feel like that's kind of like the framework I do in my mind, but it's been really helpful to like actually write it down as well. And I'll be using this in the future if I ever need to make other harder decisions. I feel like I don't usually have to make hard decisions. Like I do, I guess I do sometimes. Like I think about things really deeply before I decide, but once I make my decision, I'm like pretty 10 toes on it. But when I think back, I feel like, actually, I guess I do have sometimes harder decisions. I feel like I have decisions that I think a lot that aren't necessarily hard decisions, but they're hard for me because I like to think about things thoroughly. But like this time around, it's like, it feels like a hard decision, you know? It'll like change my life in like a more drastic way. Because like, let's say I'm buying a camera, right? I'm thinking about that decision really hard. But in the grand scheme of things, if I get a camera that's messed up, I may be like out of $1,000 or something max. But like, life will still go on. My life is not going to change that drastically for my camera. Or like, when I was getting my iPad, I was doing like a lot of comparison with the iPad. Like, I may get an iPad that I don't really care for, but then I'll get used to it and life goes on. But I feel like with getting another living thing that you take care of, especially something like a dog, life will change more than just having this extra thing that I have, you know? So it's like, it's a much more hard decision. I mentioned like one person I work with, like, we were talking about like being in those start stages of hard decisions, but it made me really think that like I don't think I really ever had decisions this hard. Actually, maybe not. I'm like kind of like reflecting. Like I said, I feel like a lot of the times, I feel like I've had some more regrets lately in my more recent years than I've had before about decisions that I've made. I feel like I don't think I would take back the decisions, but I felt like regrets about the decisions. And like if I was to go back, would I made them differently, you know? So I'm really worried about having even heavier regrets from the decisions that I make. So yeah, that's what stressed me out. But alas, like I said, I'm thinking about the life, what content I should make. I've been thinking about how I should plan and shoot that content. I've been thinking about how I'll roll out and schedule that content. I've also been thinking about like how to get tangible returns on my content. Like I can't keep doing, like I have to get something out of it. Like, you know, it can't just be like me doing ideas and then like going on to the next thing. I want to like gain tangible type of returns from it, like monetarily, or even if it's not direct monetarily, it's like exposure wise that will lead to something better in like the future. Like I really need to see more results in the work that I do. So I'm like thinking about that a lot, man. And as of always, it's like it's very hard thinking about all these things as like your country, as the world is shifting so rapidly around you. It's like very hard to like have to keep thinking and focusing on these things. I'm at a better, like I mentioned before, I'm at a better state about it than I was like 6 months ago. Isn't that crazy? Almost 6 months past, but like maybe like 5 months ago when I first came back from my Japan trip and like seeing the state of where the country was heading, I'm at a better place today. But it's still hard to keep having to navigate life like this, and like decisions feel even more have so much more weight onto it because there's just so much insecurity in the time that we're in. And it's like, I need to start making these big risks. But I feel like now the adversary risks are even higher with the decisions that I'll make, Like, for example, if I like go all in on like a creative thing and like I don't, and like I get out of corporate, etc., there's like the implications of the economy, which is like really crazy. There's the implications of like the job market rapidly changing because of artificial intelligence and technology changing. Things are just so insecure, and it's like having to make these type of drastic decisions with more at risk or more at odds is like, it's very stressful, man. And that's another thing I'm thinking about with a dog. Like, how much more stressful would that be with a puppy? I wish I feel like if I can find an adult type of dog that I want, that would be like so much better too. But another thing too, I've been thinking about, like, if I do get a dog, one of my solutions that I wrote down was like active training to get it acclimated to the lifestyle. So I think a lot of the things with people when it comes to like not being able to do certain things with dogs, I think sometimes it comes to like us as people. Like, people get worried about leaving their dog with sitters and whatnot, which is actually very good. This is a very mindful concern. But I feel like you have to like make those choices, and like you have to make those plans to be able to keep yourself, even while you do things like have an animal, like have a kid. Like, you need to also make those choices and do certain things where you can keep yourself intact and like nurture your inner self as well, versus just letting yourself kind of go to the wayside for something else. But man, that's like hard to think about these decisions. I've been thinking about like what it be like to leave the US. It's like really crazy how to think about these things. And it's crazy because like fascism is not, you can't outrun it. I don't think you can't outrun the conservatism that is happening, I think, on a global scale, I feel like you can at least find some more security than you can in the US, I think. But it's like very crazy. And I'm thinking about like, what would that look like? Where would I go if I had a dog? What would that look like? I'm thinking about it a lot. With my house, I will never regret my house, to be honest with you. Even if I have to leave it and like rent it out or something, I won't regret the decision to get this place. I'm very happy with that decision. Very happy with it. But man, it's just so much to think about. And it makes endless. I'm saying, like, it makes you wonder, like, it's so much is happening in even just a small bit of time. What are the next few years gonna look like? And that's like very alarming for me, scary for me. Also, I mentioned before, I have older parents. I always on the back burner worry about that. I remember I mentioned before, but I used to worry about that a lot. I still do, but like maybe it's a little bit more managed now. But it's still in the back of like my mind. And it's like having to think about all these things. All the life around you is changing, and the world around you is changing very rapidly. It's insane. It's insane. Man, anyway, my birthday's coming up. I have my kiln. I have my brother help me move my kiln to like on top of something so I can finally fire it. But I'm feeling like so nervous about finally firing my kiln and like the work that I'll be making. Oh, I just feel so nervous about so many things. I need to stop feeling nervous. I really do. Well, something that I thought about this week was like being very careful about being very careful about the things you latch onto when you're in like times of inner strife and inner turmoil, because there's a lot of predatory things out there in life, and especially that wait for your vulnerabilities. And I was thinking about it because, so like I was recently thinking about like meditation, like how I want to meditate more, and I went online like looking into meditation, and I saw this video about this like person that's like, it's like some guru. And like I was seeing like how to like meditate, like what meditation looks like and like different aspects or not. And I saw a form of meditation, and I was thinking in my mind that it was like an ancient type of meditation that like somebody was just kind of putting people onto, like people share like older information, things, practices come from older places. But as I looked into this person, like quote unquote this guru, I saw that like, the skeptical things that happen when people, how do I say it, like people lean in like platform spirituality in like a for-profit way, and like I was thinking about it because I like did the meditation the first time, And I was like, okay, this is not bad. But like as I look more into it and I like learn about where I got it from, I realized that this was like that person's own kind of system of like meditation or something. It wasn't like some practice thing with like in Hinduism or like Buddhism. It wasn't something like that. It was kind of like I guess third thing that they made up. And that was alarming to me because it's like I'm very worried about stuff like that, especially when it comes to spirituality, because you don't know what type of negative things can be on even things that are portrayed to be positive. So I thought to myself, like, imagine if I would have just like continuously been saying these chants and like doing these things, and you don't know what the implications are without doing that due diligence. And it makes you think about other aspects, especially like religion. I think religion, that's a fight that I'll get into another day, but like religion can be really predatory. Like that's how we get cults and things like that, and that comes from people getting into things in vulnerable mind spaces because they have these internal type of strifes or problems within themselves that they're battling with and maybe they might not want to deal with. And for somebody to come to them with this system of life that they can just follow and like they can kind of take the pressure of their own life off of themselves and put it onto something else that's been established. People will do it, and that's very easy to like indoctrinate other little ideas. And it's very easy for like like a broken clock is right twice a day, you know. And I feel like it's very easy for people to see the rights, the twice a day rights, and start to try to and start kind of blinding themselves from the wrongs, you know. And like for me personally, I wasn't like in necessarily internal strife. I did want to like calm myself and like align my nervous system, etc. But it wasn't really like I wasn't in some type of a spiritual disarray within myself. I think my spiritual sense of self, I think I'm having problems with like my journey with life, but like I think my identity is like not at like a fragile state, I would say. So like I don't think it would ever went off onto that side of things. But imagine if I was just a little bit off within myself, and like imagine if like I was having a little bit more insecurity within myself and how easy it can be to be indoctrinated into something else. So that's why I thought about that little incident. And it makes you think about like where we're at now with like the whole Christian nationalism and things like that, and how people are actively using like religion as applied for agendas and things like that. And it makes you think about that. And I thought about it a little bit more as well, because I then proceeded to see something how like it says men are like leaning more into Christianity, Catholicism and stuff like that. And it's like, you know, like that's like a whole other conversation for itself. I don't think people are turning to faith for the purest of intentions. I think they're turning to faith for the power that's being presented, because within a lot of faiths, women are marginalized, and look at the demographics that are flocking to these faiths now that people are questioning patriarchy, etc. So different story. I'm not even going on a religious tangent, child, but yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I think my mood wise, I'm above middle ground because my break is coming up, but I'm also very stressed though, because I'm trying to get a lot of things. I'm trying to rest within my break, but I'm also trying to get myself, my own personal self and my things together during that break without any other interruptions and stuff like that. So I'm like trying to use most of my time, but I also know I need to like really rest and recenter. But at the same time, like I mentioned, I want to pilot out some ideas that I want to work on, and I feel like the best time to do it is while I have this free time. So I'm stressed because I'm thinking like, there's some ideas that might require travel, so I'm thinking should I book those trips, hurry up and try to book something and get something filmed and pilot something quickly. And I'm like, I'm stressed, man. I am pretty stressed, but not in a depression way, but very stressed. could easily turn into a depression type of way. But that's it for me this week. I feel like I talked more than I thought I would, but see me next week. Bye.